And now a quick word from our sponsors here at Viral Hip Hop News.
Hey yo, bring the fire all summer long with the big three and your homeboy Ice Cube. Starting July 10th on CBS, Thriller, and Fight TV. That's right, every Saturday. Bring the fire with the big three, baby.
And here from Viral Hip Hop News, letting my people know to go grab this bottle of miracle food right now. ChakraDoctor.org put together some of the best ingredients on God's green earth to help your immune system, give you a cleanse and reboot that your body deserves. Don't wait for your miracle. Grab it in Miracle Food right now. Let's go.
House of Lazenby 1970H is the continuation of the Lazenby family fighting for its independence in the criminal world from the mafia and the national agreement. This ongoing battle takes the Lazenby clan over international waters. Grab the House of Lazenby 1970H in the description box right now.
One of the very interesting parts of the movie or documentary to me was his relationship with Medgar Evers as well, and just how deep that ran. And then Medgar Evers being murdered and coming to find out your father was supposed to be with him, but wasn't because of the death of your 3-month-old, I believe it was a brother, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, correct.
And just hearing that and knowing how deep that went. And then like we talk about COINTELPRO and then the FBI and the CIA now, but it almost seems as though it's an urban legend, so to speak. Like people hear it, but it doesn't really register the way how real and how in depth it really was. To see the documentary, it almost brought it back. CIA following your dad, FBI, and all the other alphabet agencies out here looking at your dad, what he's doing. Talk about that time, if you may, what he was going through during the time, not only personally, but watching his friend get murdered, knowing he was supposed to be there, and just the whole thing that surrounded that.
Another great question. If you look at Dick Gregory just as one man, and you look at his immediate orbit around him, so many of his friends got gunned down. I mean, Medgar Evers, Dr. King, Malcolm X, Fred Hampton, these are just the names we know, but he knew many more names. There were many more people close to him that were, assassinated by the movement, by white supremacy. And my dad was great friends with John Lennon. John Lennon was killed by gun violence, and my dad firmly believed that there was a government aspect or angle to that. And my dad was really close friends with Larry Flint from Hustler magazine. They, oddly enough, Dick Gregory, here you have Hugh Hefner, who gave my dad his first opportunity, who's a pornographer. Then you have Larry Flint, who's a pornographer. Dick Gregory was the polar opposite of that, but he linked up with those cats on First Amendment issues. And so my dad was flying all over the world fighting with Larry Flint on First Amendment issues. My dad missed his flight down to Atlanta when the attempted assassination on Larry Flint, when Larry Flint was shot. Dick Gregory was supposed to be with him. And so some people hear that and they say, well, damn, Brother Dick might have been an agent. He's around all these people getting gunned down and he didn't get gunned down. Mm-hmm. And when you're on the front, it's not like this is just random cats hanging out at a cookout. These are soldiers on the front line. And if we're, SEAL Team 6 on the front line together, a lot of us aren't coming home. And so what Dick Gregory would always point out is that, fearing God, don't occupy the same space. He definitively never feared the system. He respected that it could be deadly. So he was fearless, not reckless. And there's a fine line between being reckless and fearless. And I truly believe, back to your original point, Sam, when Medgar Evers got assassinated, that really just, to my dad's core, rocked him. Because he firmly believed, had Richard Jr. not passed away, he would have been with Medgar for his entire lifetime. He said he would always repeat, it would have been an honor to have died with Medgar. That was the degree of closeness the two of them had. And as Merle Evers very eloquently, Dr. Evers lays out in the film, they were like brothers, closer, a bond closer than blood brothers. And a lot of brothers and sisters in the military that have seen action, they understand that bond. It's a very unique thing that many times is deeper than a blood brother, deeper than genetics. You've seen things that you wouldn't wish on other people. And that was really their connection. And I think a lot of the fearlessness Dick Gregory went on to have later in life was some of it was rooted in a sense of survivor's remorse. He almost felt like, I'm on borrowed time. I'm almost certain I shouldn't be here. So I'm gonna, to my last breath, when the film talked about him cussing Kevin Hart out, and he was doing that with love. And Kevin understood. I was there that day, and it was powerful, but it was definitely rooted in love. And Kevin picked up on that immediately. And really, the way he reacted was the exact way he retold the story in the documentary. Was like, I'm not pushing back. Dick, I'm feeling this. I'm feeling this. You're coming at me fast. You're coming at me fast. Give me a minute to recalibrate. And part of it was, if for your lifetime you've seen your people turn right when they're supposed to turn left, and now you're older, you don't know how much longer you're going to be here, you get a little desperate, and your delivery reflects that degree of urgency. You've been telling everyone in the building there's a fire and no one's listening. Well, as that fire starts closing in, your tone starts to change. And as he knew he was ending approaching the end of his life cycle, because he had quite a few health problems he was dealing with that were related to, again, being a soldier, starving himself for the civil rights movement, not fasting for medicinal reasons, but starving himself as a form of activism. And my dad got down to 78 pounds. Here's a man who was once 288 pounds, 78 pounds from starving himself in opposition to the Vietnam War. He was about love. He was about peace. He was about humanity, equality, and just justice.
Right. Now, another, close ally of your father was Martin Luther King. First, can you talk about what you know about their relationship? And two, is it true that he, actually tried to be an intermediary between Martin Luther King and Malcolm X when they were going through their little, feud?
And so, yes. So here's I'm going to answer that in two parts.
Okay.
My very pregnant mother, who was currently pregnant with my brother Richard Jr., who passed away, I believe she was about 8 months pregnant at the time, were invited to the White House by President Kennedy, John F. Kennedy. While they're at the White House, so it's Dick Gregory, my mom Lillian Gregory, very pregnant Lillian Gregory, President Kennedy introduced Dick Gregory to Dr. Martin Luther King. They hadn't known each other. They knew of each other naturally, but they had never met personally. So fast forward a few years later, later that year, both JFK was assassinated, Richard Jr. was dead, in short order after that, Dr. King was dead. And just to think of, here's this one man, Dick Gregory, and my mom too, that are there, that so many people in their orbit are suddenly, killed violently. Naturally, my brother died of natural causes of crib death, but still the hurt of just all of that death weighing on you. And knowing that the people you would have picked up the phone to call to help you were the folks who were doing it. A lot of times young folks will hear Dick Gregory say the strongest two powers in the history of the world is the black woman and the black church. And now we've kind of moved away from the church in that traditional sense. So we say, no, not the church. The church back then wasn't just a place to go and pray and tithe. That was if you got sick, there was no hospital to go to. You called the church. If the police were coming, if there was an emergency, you didn't call the police. The police were the one doing it. You called the church. If your home was on fire, you called the church. If someone in your family died, you called the church. So that's what Dick Gregory was talking about. He was never speaking about isms and osms. The relation.
Hip hop, hip hop, hip hop, hip bars is back. Hip hop, Sam and oh God, what's up with you? I done watched them niggas do interview after interview. They not culture vultures, the culture something they been into. So if you never gave them a view, I recommend you do. Cause when they question guests, they message is not subliminal. It don't matter if you a rookie.